So if the question is about the compilation of Holy Quran, because compilation of Holy Quran is related to paper 1, question number 2. Usually question comes from the compilation of Quran in question number 2, paper 1. So they may ask you, so our topic is the compilation of Holy Quran. So along with that, we also have to focus on how it was preserved during Prophet's lifetime. So compilation is divided into three stages. This is the first stage during the Prophet's lifetime, and secondly, how it was compiled after the death of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It is divided into two stages: Abu Bakr and Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Fine. So our today's focus is on the compilation of Quran first. That how the Quran developed into a book form. If the question is about that how the Quran developed into a book form, for such type of question you have to divide your answer into three stages. Okay, during the Prophet's lifetime, what steps were taken by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, to preserve it. Then during the stage of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and afterwards the last stage is that of Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Okay, if the question is how the Holy Quran developed into a book form, how it was developed into a book form, so you have to start your answer with from the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. And before writing about the Prophet's life, you have to mention that it is the word of Allah that has been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, over a period of 23 years, and Allah himself has taken the responsibility. Talk about the responsibility taken by Allah himself, that we have sent down this message, and we have sent down this message, and we will surely guard it. Okay, we will surely guard it, or we will surely protect it from any change, from any corruption. Okay, mentioned that Allah himself has taken the responsibility, and Holy Prophet, peace upon him, has been commanded. Allah himself has informed Holy Prophet that it is upon us, it's upon us, it's our responsibility to preserve it and to make you recite it. It's our responsibility to make it preserved and make you recite. Because Holy Prophet, peace upon him, when he received the revelation, he usually started reciting along with the angel Jibrail. He used to move his tongue. That is why Allah has commanded that don't be fast and wait for our recitation. When we complete our recitation, then you have to recite, because it is our responsibility to preserve it and make you recite. So this is how you have to identify that Allah has taken the responsibility to preserve Holy Quran, the first stage. Then afterwards talk about it how the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, he took different steps. The first, that he himself memorized the Quran. Arabs, they had an excellent memory. Whenever the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, received any revelation, so what he did, he committed it to his memory. First of all, we have mentioned that Allah himself has taken the responsibility to preserve it. Okay, then along with that, Allah has made necessary arrangements to preserve this Quran in a book form. Okay, what steps that has been taken, that Arabs, they have been given such a good memory skills that whatever the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, heard once, that has been preserved in his memory, and same was the case with the memory of his companions, his followers. ठीक है, जो बात एक मर्तबा सुन लेते थे, that remain in their memory throughout their lifetime. Okay, mention it in your answer. It was written down on different things, but along with memorization, mention that Holy Prophet, peace upon him, memorized these verses. Later on, he dictated these verses to his companions. Okay, and these verses were written down by scribes of the divine revelation. These verses were written down by the scribes, and it was written down on different things. You can mention scapula, okay, shoulder bone, leaves, pieces of leather and cloths. These things were used for writing the Quranic verses. इन चीज़ों के ऊपर Quranic verses लिखी जाती थी. Whenever Prophet received the revelation, he himself memorized these verses and committed it to his memory, and later on he would call one of his literate companion, the scribe of the divine revelation, and he dictated these verses to them. And these verses were written down on these things. These things were, since these things were durable and they could last long after the death of, even after the death of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So that is why, and since paper was not available at that time, it was not easily available at that time, and these things were used during that time to write something. Okay, after dictating the text, he would ask them to read what they had written. Okay, this is known as the verification process. He verified these verses that whether they had written it well. If there was any mistake, any correction, he would make it, and then he would ask them to bring it before the other people. So these verses were dictated, and later on these were verified by Holy Prophet peace upon him would listen from them. He would ask them to read what they had written, and after the verification of these verses, he would tell them to deliver it to the other people. These verses were recited in 5 daily prayers. Again, through this process, these verses were preserved further in their memory. These verses were recited in 5 daily prayers. Also, in the month of Ramadan, it was the Holy Prophet Muhammad's practice to recite these verses. Whatever verses and whatever surahs that has been revealed so far, these verses were recited by him during the month of Ramadan. And in his last Ramadan, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, recited whole Quran twice in the presence of Jibreel alayhi salam. So he reviewed the whole Quran in the presence of Jibreel alayhi salam twice. That was his last Ramzan. These were the steps taken up by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, to preserve Quran during his lifetime. Okay, next is after the death of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he became a caliph. He faced several challenges, several problems, and one of the greatest problems that he faced was of false prophets. Okay, there were 4 major false prophets at that time, and one of the most dangerous false prophet was Musailama. Identify his name. Okay, and the battle which was fought against him was the battle of Yamama. And during this battle, many Muslims achieved martyrdom. Okay, some sources mention that around 660 people achieved martyrdom. Okay, some sources even mention that 1200 people achieved martyrdom. The more rather famous 600 to 660, or you can write 700. ठीक है, ये ज़्यादा बेहतर है. ठीक है, एंड यहाँ किसी किसी बुक में और किसी किसी जगह पे 1200 तक की भी स्ट्रेंथ उन्होंने मेंशन की है, बट बेटर दैट यू शुड राइट दैट 700 पीपल अचीव मार्टरडम, एंड आउट ऑफ दीज 700, 300 were the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In such great number, his companions were killed, and out of these 300 companions, 70 were the best reciters of the Holy Quran. They were Huffaz. They were the best reciters of the Holy Quran. Okay, they were those who had committed the Quran to their memory. And among them was Salim. Okay, one of the Prophet's companions, Salim. And Salim was one of those 4 companions about whom the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has commanded his followers to learn Quran from these 4. Okay, let me share another slide with you. This one. Okay, see here. There was no official copy during that time, at that time, and when Prophet, peace be upon him, died, Abu Bakr faced several problems, and those who had committed the Quran to their memory, several people, they achieved martyrdom, including Salim. And Salim is one of those 4 companions about whom the Holy Prophet had recommended that take Quran from these 4. Who are these 4? The one is Abdullah bin Mas'ud radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, okay, from Makkah. Another one is Salim. Third one is Muaz ibn Jabal. and fourth one is Ubay bin Ka'b. Out of these four, Abdullah bin Masud is one of the great scribe of the Holy Quran, and Ubay bin Ka'b is also one of the major scribe of the Holy Quran, along with Zaid bin Sabit radhiyallahu anhu. So these are the three major scribes of the divine revelation. So Salim was one of those who has been recommended by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to learn Quran from these four. Okay, due to these death, Umar radhiyallahu anhu was very much worried and concerned that if this would continue, there would be a great loss for the Muslims. Okay, he expressed his concern with Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu with these words, that he was afraid, that I am afraid. Why was he afraid? That there will be more casualties among Qurra. Qurra means those who had memorized the Quran by heart, those who had learned it by heart and committed it to their memory in other battlefields, or maybe because of their natural death. So what he suggested? He suggested that Quran, he had the fear that Quran may be lost unless you collect it, unless you command it to collect it officially. But Abu Bakr showed hesitation. He was hesitant in doing so because he did not want to do something that has not been done by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So he showed his reluctance at that time. But Umar radhiyallahu anhu, he kept on persuading and insisting him till Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu accepted. And he realized that Umar's suggestion was very good and it is very much important for him to take this step. So they both went to Zaid bin Sabit. Zaid bin Sabit was one of the principal and the chief scribe of the divine revelation, and they handed over the task to him with these words, that you are a wise young man and you used to write the Quranic revelations. Divine inspiration means the Quranic revelations during the Prophet's lifetime. Therefore look for the Quran. Look for the Quran means search and try to find out wherever it has been written and collect it in one manuscript, in one book form. So they advised Zaid bin Sabit and the task has been given, but Zaid was also very much reluctant. He was also hesitant. He was also very much worried about that how he would do and how he would finish this task, because it was of great responsibility. That is why he expressed his concern that why you are doing something which has not been done by the Prophet, nor he has been commanded us to do so. And he said that if Abu Bakr had commanded me to uproot a mountain or to shift a mountain from its place, that would have been easier for me. ठीक है, अगर अबू बकर मुझे ये हुक्म देते कि इस पहाड़ को यहाँ से उठा के किसी और जगह शिफ्ट कर दो, तो वो काम मेरे लिए ज़्यादा आसान होता. ठीक है, एज़ कम्पेयर टू दिस टास्क. But what he did, he started that task with the help and with seeking help from Allah Almighty, and he collected it from different things on which the Quranic verses were written. Like on which things it was written on the palm leaves, it was written on the stones, and it was written on the pieces of wood, and he also collected it from the memory of the other companions. Okay, from different written materials and also from the memory of the other companions. And the verification process was very much simple. Okay, and he has taken different verification method to collect these verses of the Holy Quran, because although he was a Hafiz and he has committed the Quran to his memory, and he was also present in the last recitation of the Holy Quran during his last Ramzan. Zaid was present at the time during his last Ramzan. Zaid was present in the last recitation of the Holy Quran. So how he verified these verses? He verified these verses, first of all, he verified the written verses through his own memory, and then he verified it from the memory of the other companions like Umar and other senior companions. Okay, they were also Hafiz. And then how he verified? They were asked to bring two reliable witness. Okay, whoever will bring the written verse of the Holy Quran, they have to bring two witness over it also. And what they have to witness, उनको क्या proof देना होगा कि these verses have been written under the Holy Prophet's supervision, and later on these verses were read out before him. ठीक है, दो चीज़ों को उनको witness देनी है. ठीक है, with every written verse there should be two reliable witness, and what they have to bear witness, that these verses have been written These verses have been dictated and written under the Prophet's supervision. And not only written, but also these verses were read out before him and verified by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The fourth step which he did, that he collated and compared with the collections of the different companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, because some other companions, they have also made their own personal copies. Okay, that much care has been taken by Zaid bin Sabit and the committee which has been made at the time, because Zaid was the head and he was the chief of that panel which has been made by Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu, and the Quran was compiled under his supervision. This copy remained with Abu Bakr throughout his Khilafat, throughout his caliphate, and afterwards it was transferred to Umar and then to Hafsa, Umar's daughter, and this copy came to be known as Musaf al-Hafsa, the Hafsa's copy of the Holy Quran. Okay, if the question is about, write about how the Quran developed into a form of Musaf al-Hafsa. Musaf al-Hafsa. So you have to write till here. Okay, from the Prophet's life till here, up till here you have to mention. ओके मुसहफ़ अल हफ्सा, अगर मुसहफ़ अल हफ्सा तक की बात पूछी जा रही है तो यहाँ तक प्रॉफिट लाइफ से स्टार्ट करें और यहाँ पे एंड कर दें. बट इफ़ द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट दैट हाउ द कुरान डेवलप्ड इनटू अ बुक फॉर्म, तो देन यू हैव टू राइट ऑल द थ्री स्टेजेस, द स्टेज ड्यूरिंग द प्रॉफिट्स लाइफ, देन ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ the Abu Bakr's caliphate, and then the caliphate of Usman. What happened during the caliphate of Usman? It is simple, that but you have to remember few things, okay, in your to mention it in your answer. That first of all mention the expansion of the Islamic Empire, and with the expansion of the Islamic Empire, acceptance of Islam by many non-Arabs, those who were not Arabs, they were unaware about the differences in the Arabic dialects. Since Arabic had different dialects, different accents, during the Prophet's lifetime, 7 leading dialects were there in Arabia. So there were 7 leading dialects at that time of the Arabic language. Like other languages, Arabic language too had different dialects. And these were the 7 major dialects in which Holy Prophet, peace upon him, has allowed his companions to recite Quran. But he has mentioned that this Quran has been revealed in 7 ahruf. 7 ahruf means 7 ways, 7 dialects. They were allowed to recite in a dialect that is convenient for them, that is easier for them. Okay, so that has been allowed by the Holy Prophet, that they may recite it in a dialect which is convenient and which is easier for them. So the companions, they recited it, the Holy Quran, in different dialects with a slight differences, and that has been permitted by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, because it was very much important for them to recite it, learn it, understand it, and bring these teachings into their life, into their practice. This was important for them. So because of this, the permission has been given. But with the passage of time, when the Islamic Empire expanded and people, they started reciting it in different dialect, there arose differences amongst the Muslims, disputes amongst the Muslims, ikhtilafat shuru ho gaye, each one claiming that he is right and the other group is wrong. Okay, so this was very much important to remove these differences. Okay, इन इख्तलाफात का ख़त्म करना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी था, क्योंकि अगर इसको नहीं ख़त्म किया जाता तो there would have been too much chaos and bloodshed and so much loss of lives because of this book, because of Holy Quran. So that has been noticed by one of the Prophet's companion, Huzaifa bin Yaman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who was fighting along with them. He was there in Azerbaijan and Armenia, that was the frontier, the border of the Islamic Empire. And the army which he was leading, it has forces from Iraq and Syria. The people had slight difference in their recitation because their teachers are different. Okay, so because of the difference in their teacher and their recitation, there arose a dispute, okay, between them while they were performing their prayers. Huzaifa noticed this difference and he settled the matter, but later on he realized that it is very much urgent and it is very much important for him to convey it to Usman so that he may be able to resolve this issue in future. So what he did, he went to Usman after the battle. He went to Usman in Medina, and what he advised him, take this ummah in hand before they differ about the book like Christians and Jews. ओके, ऐसा ना हो कि हमारे ऊपर भी वो वक्त आ जाए, वो टाइम आए कि हम भी ज्यूज़ और क्रिश्चियंस की तरह अपनी बुक के बारे में एक दूसरे से इख्तलाफ करने लगें. ठीक है, डिफरेंसेस हमारे दरमियान डेवलप हो जाएं, ईच वन क्लेमिंग कि ये है बुक का पार्ट, दूसरा का है ये बुक ऐसे नहीं ऐसे है. सो बिफोर दिस टाइम वुड कम, इट इज़ वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड नेसेसरी कि हम क्या करें, वी मस्ट bring the whole Muslim on one recitation, on one Quran, on one way and one accent. So Usman discussed the matter in Shura. After discussing the matter in Shura, the advisory council, and it was decided that Quran should be recompiled, okay, in the accent of Quraysh. For this purpose, he took the copy from Hazrat Hafsa that has been prepared by Zaid bin Sabit. It was in the custody of Hazrat Hafsa. So he Usman asked that bring and lend us the sheets and the scrolls that has been prepared by Zaid during that time, so that we can copy them into other volumes and then return them. So that copy has been taken. Zaid bin Sabit was again appointed, and along with Zaid, three other people from Quraysh were also appointed with Zaid. They were Sayyid bin Alas, Abdurrahman bin Haris, and Abdullah bin Zubair. Okay, these three were from Quraysh. Zaid was not from Quraysh. You must know that Zaid was from Ansar. He was not from Quraysh. But Zaid को appoint करना इसलिए जरूरी था because the first copy has been prepared by Zaid. So he was aware about that copy. So along with Zaid, three other people were appointed from Quraysh. And the task of dictation was given to Sa'id bin Alas because his accent and his pronunciation was very much accurate to the pronunciation of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So that is why the task of dictation was given to Saeed bin Al-As. ठीक है, इन्होंने डिक्टेट करवाई, इन्होंने इमला करवाई, डिक्टेशन होती है. ठीक है, तो प्रोनाउंसिएशन इनकी बिल्कुल प्रॉफिट वाली थी ताकि उनको पता चले कि कहाँ प्रोनाउंसिएशन अरबिक एक्सेंट कुरैश का क्या है. So Saeed bin Alas was given the task to dictate the Quranic text, and that has been recompiled under the supervision of this panel. Okay, first they made single copy, and the original copy was returned back to Hafsa, and from this new copy 7 copies were made, and these were sent to the provincial capitals. Okay, in panel को instructions ये दी गई थी कि wherever you differ with Zaid, yeah, wherever you differ from Zaid bin Sabit, write the word means the word of Allah, means the Quran. Write the word means write the Quran in the dialect of Quraysh, for it was revealed in that tongue. Tongue means that dialect, that accent. So they made the copy, and the original copy was returned back. So I told you that Usman prepared 7 copies at the time, and these copies were sent to the provincial capitals, the main centers of the Islamic Empire, and the other volumes were collected and they were destroyed, they were burnt by fire, so that these copies would not be circulated amongst the Muslims, and so that it will not create any confusion, any disturbance in the Islamic Empire. So these copies were collected and they were burned, they were destroyed. So we have either we may be asked to write about that how the Quran developed into a book form. Okay, so you have to write about all the 3 stages: Prophet lifetime, Abu Bakr and Usman. If the question is about how the Quran developed into the form of Musaf al-Hafsa, so you have to write till here that how it came into the form of Musaf al-Hafsa by the end of Abu Bakr's caliphate. Okay, Musaf al-Hafsa. And if the question is about that how the Quran was compiled following the Prophet's death, so write about the role of Abu Bakr and Usman, these 2 stages. Following the Prophet's death means after the demise of the Holy Prophet, you have to focus on the details that happened. Okay, sometimes this question also it could come in paper 2, and it came in paper 2 also in the rightly guided caliphs, that write about the compilation of Quran during Abu Bakr's caliphate. Okay, this question is also relevant for paper 2 as a service of services rendered by the rightly guided caliphs. Okay, how the Quran was compiled during the Caliphate of Abu Bakr, or how what services Usman rendered for the compilation of Quran during his Caliphate. So, as a question from the topics of Caliphate, this question could be set in the paper also.